This is the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show, sponsored by your North Texas Chevy dealers. Together, let's drive.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show. That's the name of it, right?
I hope so.
Ultimate.
It hasn't changed yet.
You know, I'm a little off, and here's why. I think I have a pretty good reason.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about a convincing Cowboys win.
Yeah.
I mean, how does that work?
I mean,
does it work?
I mean, it did today. I mean, it happened only 2 times last season. So this is a bit of a comet, a Halley's Comet, just kind of streaking through the sky. We hope it's a sign for something good for this team moving forward.
We do. Of course we do.
And we'll grade it on a curve, but we have a lot to break down from this game specifically. So let's get right into it with what's on the show.
Here's What's on the Show, sponsored by NFM.
Hey, we have a win to talk about. It didn't take overtime. Imagine that. Look at us. We'll take a look at the offense's incredible rhythm early this season and how the defense has shown some signs of improvement. Plus, we go no fence riding, this time with a look at the sports calendar, Joe, and my camera's going crazy. Thank you so much, Kelly, for framing me up. Joe, that's what's on the show. Now who's on the show?
The camera doesn't know how to take a Cowboys convincing win either. I mean, what's going on here? By the way, yours truly, Joe Trahan, Andrew Cely. We've also got Mike in Waxahachie. He's a long time from WFA Sports. And then one of our favorites, Saad Yousuf from The Athletic. He's joining us tonight as well. Gentlemen, this should be fun, getting a chance to talk about that big Cowboys win. And now that maybe we've got our bearings about this, let's jump in. And Saad, since you're our guest, you get to go first with this thing because there are a lot of different ways you could go in terms of looking at that victory. But what really jumped off the page at you when watching that game?
There's a lot of teams that are dealing with injuries. The Baltimore Ravens, as we know, and their injuries by no means compared to the Cowboys because they're without their starting quarterback and all kinds of all-pro players. However, we see how bad it can tailspin a team when injuries do take a toll. And the Cowboys, to be without 4 of their starting offensive linemen, their wide receiver 1, their wide receiver 3 and 4, and for the offense to keep humming the way that it is, not to mention all the defensive issues that they've had, healthy or unhealthy. To me, overcoming the injuries is the biggest thing. And the way Dak Prescott is playing, for me, he's a top 3 MVP candidate right now. And I think that is the reason why the Cowboys were able to come away with such an impressive win today.
Mike, you know there are all these fantastic stats that came out of this game. I mean, and I thought one that just jumped off the page at me was the fact that the Cowboys had never had a 100-yard rusher and pass catcher like in a half. The PR staff went back to 1978 and said it hadn't happened since then. And I just started thinking about all the names, all the great players, all the Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
And they never pulled it off until the great Ryan Flanoy and Javonte Williams did it. Amazing.
It absolutely blew my mind when that stat came down from the Cowboys PR staff, Joe, because, yes, how did that never happen with Emmitt Smith and Michael Irvin? How did that never happen with Tony Dorsett and Drew Pearson? How did that never happen? I had a bunch of people try and correct me when I said, why did it happen with Zeke and Dez? Okay, fine. They only had the 2 years worth of overlap.
But still, that was a couple years.
Murray.
That was a couple years.
But fine, DeMarco Murray and Dez Bryant, or Zeke and Amari Cooper. Take your pick, man.
Yeah.
How did that never happen in the history of this franchise? And yes, Ryan Flanoy and Javonte Williams. Although, shoot, man, Javonte, that half of it makes sense because he is playing some serious ball right now.
You know what? And since we're talking about both of them in this context, I'll bring this up because, listen, we know about the beast and the physicality that Javonte Williams runs with. I hope you guys noticed it, too. I loved what Flanoy did after catches. It felt like that first guy never could get him down at the spot. He was always falling forward. And the 2nd and 10 that he picked up when the Cowboys went on that first touchdown drive late in the half was absolutely critical. He got it on the number, and that was really what spurred the Cowboys to all of a sudden score 14 points in what ended up being in 57 minutes of game clock time. And that really, 23-3, it was all but over. 30-3, it was church, and it was the kind of win that you expect against a bad team. like the Jets. So, Andrew, I'll throw it to you now. What really jumped off the page at you?
Just the fact that there was no letdown. And I know there was kind of a joke about Brian Schottenheimer saying a letdown after a tie. It's not after a win. It's after a good performance against a good team at home. But so often, and Dak himself and the Cowboys themselves have had a letdown like this in years past in that building against that team when they were winless. So for them to come out, take care of business, and more importantly, Mike and I talked about this in the postgame show. They went for the jugular. When they got a turnover, when they had an opportunity to put the team away, they put points on the board. And it wasn't just a field goal, it was a touchdown. They made sure to make those moments count. And that's how you looked up and you saw a 10-3 game that could have been tied 10-10 if not for a fumble, then turn into a 23-3 halftime lead where they could salt it away with a couple big plays and Javonte Williams doing what he does.
I think the point's salient, though, because they were in line for the possibility, at least, of a letdown because, yeah, it was a tie, but it was also Sunday night. It was emotional. Micah came back. All those ingredients, and then you're playing at noon with which the Cowboys, as we all know, don't do very often. So I think there were the ingredients for a letdown there, and that speaks very well of Brian Schottenheimer. And the other thing that speaks incredibly well of Brian Schottenheimer is that he's still got this offense to go with only one starting offensive lineman. It's ridiculous. And it didn't just go. I mean, Dak threw for 237 yards, but 4 touchdowns. The red zone efficiency is really, I think, if you really want to look at this game on the whole, that may have been what won the game because that efficiency allowed them to get the big lead, which allowed that defense to get the traction that we haven't seen. And as I said, 30-3, it was church. What do you like most, Saad, about what you've seen from Schottenheimer so far?
It's Dak Prescott. When Schottenheimer was hired, a lot of it was about how they have the chemistry. He's been in the building the last 2-3 years, so he has that rapport with Dak. And I think the timing with where Dak is in his career right now, along with Schottenheimer where he is, I think they mesh really well. And we're kind of seeing that even through the losses earlier this season. We've seen Dak at least be on top of his game. And to me, there's no better example than George Pickens, I believe, first catch. It was just a simple in route on a 3rd down, and Dak just worked the game play clock all the way down. He made all the checks. He saw everything the defense was giving him, and he threw to George Pickens for a 1st down. To me, out of all the throws that he made, that one was most indicative of just where he's at mentally with the game right now.
Mike, your favorite thing about Shotty?
Being able to overcome 4 offensive linemen out of the lineup today. That to me is the most impressive thing about this performance for the Dallas Cowboys, because most offensive lines, and Andrew and I talked about this on the postgame show as well, most offensive lines, you lose one guy and it crumbles.
Domino
because
effect.
Continuity is the most important piece of the puzzle for an offensive line. For them to have 4 guys out of the lineup and still be able to move bodies to the point where Javonte Williams ran for $135, still be able to protect Dak Prescott to the point where he threw for 4 touchdown passes. I get it. We're grading on a curve because it's against the New York Jets, and that's fine. But still, and again, of all the things the New York Jets do well, their defensive front's probably real high on the list, if not at the top of the list. What they did as an offensive line unit and what Shotty and his coaching staff were able to coach them up to be able to do as an offensive line unit with 4 starters missing is really, really promising big picture for this coaching staff.
Andrew?
I'm going to shout out the wide receiver core because when CD went down against the Bears, I think all of us thought not a lot of depth. Pickens is the only option. If it all funnels through him, this thing could go sideways quickly. Instead, you get big plays from Tolbert last week. You get a big play, or you get plenty of big plays from Flournoy this week. It seems like when they have time to prepare, because CD went down and they didn't have time to switch gears in the middle of that game, so you could give them some grace for how the Bears game turned out. Instead, they have walked into each of these games prepared and ready to go on the entire depth chart. You're talking tight ends, you're talking every receiver on the lineup, and I can't give them enough credit because how often have we said it's CD, it's Pickens, and whoever steps up else? The guys are stepping up. You have to give them credit for that.
I'm going to make a point about that, but before I do, we're going to take a break. There are a couple things about Dak Prescott in terms of what you just said that we need to harp on, and we will do that next. Keep it here, folks. It is the ultimate Dallas Sports Show. Stay with us.
Today's headlines, sponsored by your North Texas Chevy dealers.
Let's take a look around the NFC East. The defending Super Bowl champion Eagles suffer their first loss of the season at home to the Broncos, 21-17. Philly blew a 17-3 lead in that game. Jaden Daniels and the Commanders took down the Chargers on the road 27-10. And the Giants fall to the Saints 26-14. New York faces Philly on Thursday. How about your Saints, Joe? Getting a win. That's got to feel pretty nice.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Probably be another month before they get another one.
Because they don't have the guy at quarterback, but the Cowboys do, so at least so far.
Spencer Rattlers.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah, unfortunately. But listen, you make a good point. Now, I want to kind of follow on the point you made about the receivers and how they're all stepping up. There's one common denominator. The guy who's throwing the ball to him.
Yeah.
Because we're now seeing Dak do what you want your franchise quarterbacks to do. He's making everyone around him better, and I've got a little bit of a theory as to why. And it's part of what you said as well, Andrew, because I think the relationship between him and Brian Schottenheimer is such that they're really tailor-making this offense for what Dak does best. And Schottenheimer's also giving him the freedom at the line of scrimmage to make a lot of checks. Listen, Dak has been making checks for a long time. I don't want to sound like he's just starting to do this.
Revolutionary.
But, man, he's doing a lot more of it, and he's doing it a lot more often now. And I just think, they talk a lot about his confidence now. He's seeing it better than ever, and the plays that he's dialing up when he switches and when he makes the calls at the line are really working out incredibly well.
Mike, I know we've talked at length about quarterback play and how it's kind of evolved. What's the biggest change in Dak's game, do you think, this year as opposed to maybe the last three, where he was an MVP candidate a couple years ago, obviously very strong for the majority of his career, but why does this year feel just a little bit different?
It's interesting because I think each time that he's had a major injury, he has come back a little bit more refined and a little bit sharper, and he took a piece of his game and he did something during that time that he was given in not a way that obviously he would have preferred, but he took advantage of the time clearly because, and Saad drilled down on it perfectly earlier in the show, that throw to Pickens, and the throw itself was great. It was everything else he did before the snap and his ability to see and decode what was coming at him from the Jets defense, change the protection, change the route combination, change everything that he needed to. Oh, they made this change. I'm going to change it one more time, and then we're going to go. He is getting into a stratosphere with his understanding of the game that it is reminiscent of the way that Tony Romo talked about how he played the game in 2014. When he got to that level where he understood what was happening on the field at a different level because he had played the game for long enough, Dak's getting into that type of chapter of his career, and he's been in the league now about as long as Romo had been at that point, and we are seeing him elevate that understanding of what the defense is throwing at him. And now, as Romo put it, he knew the answers to the test. Dak knows the answers to the test. If you give him long enough to this is on Schottenheimer, give him long enough at the line of scrimmage to understand what's happening, what's coming at him, he'll figure out what's the right play to be in.
Yeah, our buddy Bob Sturm at the ticket would say he's at Jedi level right now, just like Romo was, right? Dak is there, and he's making the calls, and I call it like the 7-second call. Because, once you get to about 7-8 seconds, it gets really tough to you to get the call in, make sure it's all identified correctly. Everybody has it, and you can still snap it, and he just keeps doing it. And he keeps doing it.
Saad, I'm sure you've seen the similarity in records over the careers between Romo and Dak on some level. But it does feel like this version of Dak has elevated past even what I would say I saw from Romo on a regular basis. But then I wasn't covering the team as in depth as Joe, Mike, and the rest of them are here. Saad, your opinion on what Dak's been doing?
I was going to go right to where Mike went, which if you watch the documentary of Football Life that Tony Romo did, he talks about how towards the end of his career, right around this time is when he really started getting the answers to the test. And since Mike already hit on that, the other point that I'll hit aside from that and Schottenheimer is the fact that Dak has a lot of talent around him as well. And we can't discount the fact that even though there were injuries today, Jake Ferguson has been playing really well. And he hasn't been finding the end zone for a while, but now it's kind of pouring on a little bit. George Pickens was a #1 receiver in Pittsburgh, and now he has the opportunity in a contract year, I might add, to prove that in Dallas. And once you get CeeDee Lamb back, you'll be able to kind of have that full component together. And Javonte Williams was a very good player before his injury. We just all didn't know how well he would rebound from his injury, which he seems to be doing very well also. So there is a lot of talent around Dak. Like we've talked about today, there was a lot of injuries, but if you look at the totality of the entire season, this is a very Dak-friendly offense, and credit to management and credit to the coaching staff for putting all those players in the right places.
Joe, I'm telling you, all this defense needs to do is get 1 turnover per game. If they get 1 turnover per game, it feels like they'll be on the right end of whatever seesaw battle we're going to be in.
Win the turnover margin by 1.
Exactly.
That's all we need you guys to do.
Yeah.
Can you please do that? Listen, I'll say this. George Pickens, 5 touchdowns in his first 5 games. First Cowboys player to ever do it. When CeeDee comes back, as Saad, you were saying, with these other receivers who have stepped up, with Tolbert doing what he's done, Ryan Flanoy, Dak's going to have some fun. And he's got a running game with it. He's going to have some fun. Yeah, 1 turnover. That's all we need. All right, next up, you need to stay right there because we're going to go no fence riding.
Remember.
Yes, no fence riding.
We're talking about the sports calendar. Stay with us. Play the music. Welcome back to the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show. Time now for everyone except Michelle's favorite game, no fence riding. I've got 2 statements for our esteemed panel. We'll see if we get to the second one, and they choose which side of the fence they're on. No waffling. All right. We can go all night on this topic alone if we wanted to. First up, I've heard this a lot lately. October is the best month on the sports calendar. Baseball playoffs, NFL season in full swing, NBA and NHL about to kick off, WNBA finals for those who watch. There's a lot to like here, but is it the best? Saad, if you agree, tell me why, but if you don't, what's your pick?
Sports. I believe it's the second best sports month, but for me, January is the best. January is where you got college football championship, you got NFL playoffs going, NBA season. It's kind of getting into full swing. Trade deadlines coming up. NHL season's in full swing. For me, give me January.
All right, so Saad goes football heavy. Interesting. Mike, what do you think?
That's what I was trying to think as you're laying this out. I'm going, what are the other options? January.
There are
really
11
strong.
Other options, Mike. I'm just going to lay that out for you.
Thank you.
No, that's just wrong. That is wrong on your part.
You're right.
I'm going to go with July. Let's go with July.
Hey, July is great.
Month there is.
July is great once every 4 years. Anyway, go ahead, Mike.
Vacation month. You know what? I'm actually going to go with Saad here because, I'm going to lean, even though you don't have baseball, and that's the knock against January, the advantage of playoffs for both college and NFL football, that wins out for me, too. That's what I was trying. As you were laying this out, I'm like, wait, what else? Yeah, I'm going January.
Okay, Mike cheating off Saad's homework. Joe, what do you think?
Basically, yes.
Listen, I'm born and bred in Texas. I'm a Texas guy. Football's first, and that's the right answer. I mean, I want to say February because I'm such a big football guy that it's the Super Bowl for me. But I do think, especially now that we've got playoffs leading up to the college football playoff championship. I mean, man, it is hard to beat January now. Especially when it falls that you have the conference championships for the NFL culminate that last week of January. You begin it with the college, you end it with the pros. Come on.
Any love on the panel here for April or May, where the playoffs are really heating up for the NBA and NHL, and you basically got your TV decked out wall to wall some nights with 2 to 10 p.m. of playoff hockey and playoff basketball, while the NFL draft is coming up, while baseball's in swing?
I would say June before April.
Interesting.
Right? Because you got finals. Because you got, Stanley Cup final
but you're down
and then
to
NBA
4
finals.
teams there, not 32 practically fighting for their playoff.
High leverage sport. High leverage sport is what I'm all about, right?
Yeah.
I can get down with May.
Right?
Okay. Saad, what do you think?
I can get down with May just because then you're getting conference finals for both NBA and NHL, and you get more action, to your point, Andrew.
Saad, anything?
With you on this, Andrew, just because of the magnitude of the NFL draft. I think April, that the NFL draft is what pushes it a little bit ahead for me because you do get playoffs in those other two, but then you have the NFL draft and also opening day. I mean, if you're trying to bring baseball back into the loop, that's where April wins again.
Masters in April too, as Sean said.
Buried the lead. Yeah, Joe's all of a sudden rethinking up here. Okay.
Not too bad, but I'm still not rethinking it. It's still January. Absolutely January. All right, that was a very good topic. Very good producing on your part.
Imagine that.
For a change.
If you gave us the topics before, 3 minutes ago, we wouldn't have to cheat off of each other.
Hey, Mike and Saad, thank you guys so much. Appreciate you guys being on the show. We got a final word for you after this.
Joe, I'm telling you, I haven't worn a sport coat regularly in a while. I've been trying to adjust it all night. It's been nice. I might start doing it more regularly. We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you got for your final take?
Let's take a look. My final take is about Cowboys head coach Brian Schottenheimer. He gets a second win, and he deserves kudos. Despite all those injuries, 14 players hurt at one point during the week. As we've said all night, 4 or 5 offensive linemen out. Brian Schottenheimer still had his offense ready to roll. 416 yards, 37 points. Dak Prescott throws for 4 touchdowns, and they blow out the Jets, which you should do. Kudos to the Cowboys head coach. Now do it again against the Panthers next week. That's my final take.
Brian Schottenheimer avoided a letdown. Hey! Right?
Hey!
There you
yes,
go.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I like the haze. I don't know. I don't know, man. It's really rah-rah.
That's the real final take that we're getting right here.
Really
we need another 30 seconds. We'll see.
I got to make up my mind about it. All right, thanks so much for joining the show, everyone. Have a great week.
This has been the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show, sponsored by your North Texas Chevy dealers. Together, let's drive.